Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Rip N Riff here on the Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Rip N Riff Network. The man over to that direction is Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, and it's a special edition of R&R this week. No guest this week. We've had guests the last few weeks, but this is our birthday episode. Today is my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And Saturday is Mr. Moore's birthday. So there we go.
Yeah, happy early birthday to you, Adam. Happy 22nd birthday.
But yeah, we'll go with 22. I mean, I certainly have the hairline of a 22-year-old. So
right. I've stopped counting at this point. Once you get over a certain age, you just don't give a shit anymore.
See, what I do is I'll give people. We're getting to that age. I used to tell people like, oh, it's like if it was your 21st, third birthday. Oh, it's my Michael Jordan birthday. Now we're getting to that number range where it's obscure numbers. Not a lot of players in the 40s. So we'll say it's my Brent Gilchrist birthday. Go look it up.
Nice. I was trying to think of a Yankee player with the number that I have. The only player I could think of was Vitek Vanacek last year with the Devils. I'll be that many years old. So if you don't know who that is, Google it and look it up because I'm not going to tell you. I'm getting to the age where, like, if you ask me my age, I'm going to tell you to kick rocks. I don't want to tell you.
Do you want it? So we are the same age. I'll give you some Yankees that have worn that number. Miguel Andujar, Brian Boehringer. I'm trying to think of other. Sterling Hitchcock. That's a good one. Looking for his rookie today in a pack we'll talk about later. So there's some 41s for you for the Yankees. But not a big number there. But yeah, that's the birthday week here. We're going to be doing, we're going to go through. Well, let's just go through the pack ripping lineup right now before we get to ripping.
Why not?
Let's get it going here. So I'm going to be doing some 2004 Prism hockey, looking for Patrice Bergeron rookie, Marc-Andre Fleury rookie, Eric Stahl, Patches jersey, and the Crease Police, which might be one of the best like insert set names of all time. And then last week, I kind of lied to you. Said I was going to do Donruss baseball. Didn't happen because I wanted to do the wrestling like you and Fensty, but we'll bring that pack back this week. And we're going to go cup chasing today. We'll do a couple of packs of the 1990 Pro set. Jared, what are you bringing to the table today?
So I'm bringing what we are calling the Ultimate Super Jumbo Pack. It's a mixed sport edition, and I've been excited to open this pack for a while. I don't know where I got this pack from. I before the show, I was looking through like my eBay purchase history just to see, because I'll buy random like stuff on eBay because I'll be like, oh, that's good for the show to rip it, but like, I legit have no idea where I got this from. I'm going to guess that it was a throw-in from like a previous purchase or something. But I like packs like, stuff like this because a couple weeks ago when we were doing Rip N Rant, I was talking about how inaccessible the hobby is. And I feel like this is a good way where, like, if you're a kid on a budget or whatnot, or if you're just, someone who just wants to reminisce and open like an old school pack of football cards. So like you can see like on the cover of this, like, all right, it's not even the cover because it's see-through. So you can see Warren Moon's the very first card there. So like to get, a bunch of like classic cards like that where you have no idea what you're going to get in this thing, I think is pretty cool. There's 30 cards total. It's mixed sport. So it's certainly a mystery what we're going to pull here. And it's not affiliated with any of the major companies at the time. So Upper Deck, Donruss, Topps, they had nothing to do with this. This is just a random company, Cards One, which no longer exists, that put this together for retail.
Those packs were great when you were a kid because like if you collected more than one sport, you had a way to like get, build up your collection with one pack like that. I used to love those packs as a kid. You don't see them as much anymore. Those are like the packs you would see like the end of an aisle in Walgreens, like a hanger pack.
Yeah, I would guess that's what this was. My guess is I probably got this at Toy Wiz would be my guess. I probably saw it there, but before we get that, we got to get to the Rip and Rant.
We do got to get to the Rip and Rant. So without further ado, it's time to kick things off on Rip and Riff with
my Rip and Rant.
Thanks, Dave. Now, before we get into that, our Rip and Rant, and I'll let you go first today. We do have a comment in the chat. Andrew Cooper hoping to hit that Patrice Bergeron rookie card in the pack of the 2004 Prism Game Worn Hockey. So thanks for tuning in, Coop. I hope we hit that Bergie rookie too.
Yeah, that'd be very cool to hit that. So I'm gonna get right into it. And this is an enemy we can all hate. And I'm not talking about like Vladimir Putin or Jacob Trouba trying to throw a flying elbow at somebody. I'm talking about allergies. Allergies suck. I think you can hear it in my voice. I'm a little congested. I'm not sick. Like I'm going to be fine to do the show today. But it's just one of those things. Like I never dealt with allergies as a kid, and then like the last few years as I've gotten older, and like once springtime hits, it's like the eyes are gonna water. You're gonna get the little scratch in the throat, and like I was telling you before we got on the show today, like I went out to breakfast with some friends that I hadn't seen in a while on Monday, and then when I get home on Monday night, Monday night when I'm home, I start feeling like a little scratch in the back of the throat. I'm like, oh boy, we're doing this. And now, I don't want to get into too many details about like coughing up phlegm and whatnot, but let's just say last night was a miserable night of sleep. Like once we're done with the show, I can't wait to take a nap.
Yeah, you can hear it in your voice today. You're powering through. The allergies are getting you. I am lucky that I am not an allergy sufferer. And even after I moved to Sonoma County, which has a reputation of giving people allergies who did not have allergies, it's a bad allergy day when I got to blow my nose a couple of times in the morning. That's about as bad as it gets for me. So I'm pretty good in that regard. I've been blessed that I don't have to deal with allergies and Zyrtec and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's very brave of me to saunter through this, but you know what they say, the show's got to go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Coach used to say, like, are you injured or are you hurt? Right now, Jared is hurt, so he's going to play. He's not injured.
Exactly.
Now, my Rip and Rant going to be a little bit, not to say more serious, but just like, what are we doing here? So, most of us have seen either bits and pieces or the Tom Brady Netflix roast on Sunday. I thought it was enjoyable. I do think 3 hours is probably pushing it a little bit. Maybe 2.5 probably would have been a better length. And we've all watched roast before. The jokes are harsh, cruel, truth behind them, embellishment, exaggeration, etc. Feelings are going to get hurt. That's what happens at a roast.
Right, especially with the comedians that were behind that, because it's the Jeffrey Rosses and Nikki Glazers. They've been on all the Comedy Central roasts.
Yeah.
So just to kind of give you an idea of the background.
And of course, a former teammate of Tom Brady's was Aaron Hernandez, who we know his history, convicted murderer. And then, what happened to him in prison. And of course, at a roast, there is nothing off limits. So that came up, and there was a few jokes about hung and all that. And, fine, whatever. Hernandez's wife, is saying, oh, it's, so terrible that I have to raise my kids in such a cruel world, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I understand as a parent that you want your child to view you in the best light possible. Your husband was a murderer. He did it to himself. He spoke into security cameras like he was in a bad GTA like storyline scene. Like, oh, sometimes you just can't trust people. And like having a gun in his hand. It's like, talk to O.J. Simpson's kids, how they had to grow up. And like, you're worried like, oh, because I understand that you want him to be seen in the best light possible, but he was a murderer. And at some point, you're going to have to teach your kid that, hey, dad may have been a hero on the football field and did great things. Off the field, not so much. He was kind of a moron. I'm sorry. Like, what are we doing? Like a little accountability.
Yeah, I can understand wanting to obviously shelter the kids from,
of course,
like that but I mean, unfortunately, that's just a part of like the Hernandez family history that's going to have to be acknowledged at some point. And like, I guess it's one of those things that she's just going to have to sit down with her kids and, discuss like, these are the awful things that dad did. But
and I understand it's not right now, and you don't want your kids to deal with that stuff. I so understand that. But again, this is not like Aaron Hernandez was not somebody that had a promising career, then had some like ridiculous knee injury that ended his career, and then kind of just went off in a tailspin, blah blah blah, and just descended because his life took an awful turn. This was a guy who went out and murdered someone in cold blood over freaking nonsense. So you know what? You lose the ability to be like, oh, we shouldn't joke about that in that situation. Okay? Sorry. It's a roast. It's a roast on Netflix. That's another thing we need to do as a society. You don't like what you're watching? Change the channel. Scroll to something else. Like, enough's enough. Like, you can't control what other people talk about.
What's funny is I know like everything that happened on that roast on Netflix, even though I don't have Netflix, just because I saw all the clips on my Twitter timeline as it was happening. So I have a general gist of like everything that was said from that, like between that and the joke that Tom Brady got offended about with Robert Kraft with the massage parlor.
And he told Jeff Ross, like, don't ever say that again.
Don't say that shit again. Which was great. But Yeah, it's a roast. That's certainly one of those things you need to know going in. I'm also a little sad that Greg Giraldo is no longer with us because, in my opinion, he was the king of the roast. And if you go back and just Google like Greg Giraldo roasts on YouTube, you'll be in stitches.
And I got to throw Giselle in here a little bit too, because like obviously things were said about that whole thing, and it's like I understand that maybe like again the kids they don't want to hear it, so but it's like the jokes, if you actually go back and listen to them, were not about you as so much as Tom being clueless and oblivious to what was going on, number one. And number two, like, what did you expect? Like, you're a supermodel that is known worldwide, that is known bigger than Brady in every other corner of the globe. And you have one of the best football players. Like, you didn't think that stuff was going to come up? Come on now.
Well, I mean, at the very least, at least they kept Brady's kids off limit, which
Right.
I thought was nice. I saw the Nikki Glazer interview she did with Howard, and the joke that like she didn't want to tell about how she wanted to make out with Tom Brady, like he made out with his son, like which was funny. But yeah, it's a roast. I mean, there's certain stuff that's going to be off limits and taboo, and honestly, I'm just surprised that Brady agreed to do it in the first place, considering like how image conscious he's always been. So like they must have thrown him a hell of a fucking bag to get him, and I thought they got all the right people there. Like if you're gonna get Brady there, you got to get like everybody else from the Patriots there, between Edelman and Kraft and
Ross, his
Belichick,
line.
Gronk, right, and all those guys you can make fun of for a variety of reasons. You know, Gronk, you can do all the dumb jokes and Belichick, the Belichick jokes about him being unemployed were really funny too. So,
And I don't know if people caught this because it was mentioned quickly but Brady being a good sport about everything, he donated to everybody's charity that came up on the day. As he don't like that, so like say what you want about Brady and all this, but like he did the right thing. He and it does take a certain person to be able to stand up there and basically be dragged through the mud for 3 hours straight in some in a real raw way. So kudos to him for agreeing to do it and handling it, and giving a good night for everybody. So there you go.
would you agree to a roast?
I'd have to know who is going to be on the roasting panel up on the dais, but yeah, I would be okay with that.
I don't think I'm interesting enough to roast.
That's the thing. Like, what are you going to roast me about? Like my accent?
Right. like I would agree to do it, but I just don't think there's anything interesting. It's like you're fat and bald. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
How many times are you going to tell that joke for an hour and a half? Like how many ways are we going to twist that around?
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, thanks. Next. So it was, I enjoyed it. Like the Brady 9/11 joke maybe was a little out of taste, but other than that, I thought it was good stuff. But yeah, there you go. Just like again, we're just to bring it back to the beginning. We're complaining about he's being seen in a negative light. Well, maybe he put himself in that negative light, and that's the real issue there. But anyway, let's get the card ripping here. So do you want to? I'm intrigued by this mystery pack. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll dive right into it. Fortunately, this pack's nice and easy to rip. It's just 20-year-old plastic or whatever it is. So
I'd be concerned if it wasn't.
Don't need to break out the box cutter for this one. Let me pull up the East Coast Rip N Riff cam, which was conspicuously absent last week. But yeah, we start off with a legend, Warren Moon. Unfortunately, the card has a little crease in it, so probably not going to be super valuable or anything like that. But always cool to get a legend right off the bat.
One of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I have a few of his starting lineups and a McFarlane on display behind me over there. I loved watching Warren Moon play as a kid. I mean, nobody could. I mean, if you watch old videos, like he really heaved the ball. He had an arm. He was great to watch. That old, what was it? The run and shoot offense in Houston with Webster Slaughter, Hayward Jeffries, those guys. That was good stuff.
Yep, and I like how on the back it has the CFL stats as well.
He's a CFL legend too. The guy had two careers. I had two Hall of Fame careers in two football leagues.
Yeah, so shout out to him. We go right from that to baseball. A little ding here in the upper corner. That's going to be the other thing with this pack is basically all these cards have little imperfections. But Dave LaPointe with the Detroit Tigers.
Now, Dave LaPointe, don't remember too much about him, but I do remember that card design, and that was a cool design in the 80s. Like, before they started getting really advanced with like what they were able to do with borders and colors and stuff.
Yep. Gerald Clark with the San Diego Padres. Nice Topps card there.
I remember that top set. That was a good set. I have a bunch of those in the closet.
And sticking with baseball, we got a bunch of baseball cards here. We got Rupert Jones here from the California Angels.
Again, that look there, that old Tops look.
Yep.
What's he looking at there? Looks like he's looking at a bird or something.
He's looking at somebody in the stands. Maybe it's the side piece. Who knows? Or maybe it's his lovely wife.
Or maybe both, and maybe they're just in the same section and they don't know it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this card has like a little stain on the back of it. You can kind of see it there, but not really sure what it is. If this was a Yankee card, he'd be in the Sal Fasano All-Stars because he only played for the Yankees for a year.
Oh, wow.
At least as of when that card came out. I don't know if he ever came back to the Yankees at any point. We go right from that to Pedro Guerrero from your St. Louis Cardinals.
Now, there was a power hitter back in the early to mid-'90s there. Played with the Dodgers, played with the Cardinals. A good hitter.
Yep, and we go right from that to another power hitter in his day, Andre Dawson here with the Chicago Cubs.
Now, Andre Dawson was just a hell of a baseball player all around. Good defensive outfielder, could steal bases, could put the ball in play. I mean, just, everything you want in a baseball player.
Yep. I like this card. Nice little Fleer Focus football card. This is not a rookie, unfortunately, but we get to remember Charlie Batch here.
Charlie Batch, good quarterback there. Love the Lions when they wear the blue pants with the white jersey. It's a sharp look there.
Yep, and was obviously with the Steelers for many years as a backup. I think he was Roethlisberger's backup on that first Super Bowl, if I'm remembering right.
I think he was, and I was almost about to say he's married to Holly Robinson, and then I remembered that's Rodney Peete. So, not trying to cause any marital issues there.
Yeah, let's not break up families here on this show. Atlee Hammaker here with the San Francisco Giants.
And that old Donruss look with that background that looks like it's straight out of like an elementary school picture day.
100%. And then Albert Hall here with the Atlanta Braves.
Nice. Another classic look there, baseball look.
All right, this card's an interesting one. This is a peel-off card. Pretty good player in his day. Pretty good fantasy player in his day. How about Carl Pickens?
All right, now that pack that was like got a bunch of base cards in it. Now it's starting to like pay off a little bit. Yeah, Carl Pickens was a very, very good receiver for the Bengals. The Jeff Blake era, they would just throw the ball deep all the time.
Yeah, this is a really nice card, and I even like the back of it as well. It has, it looks like it has his stats from every game that season. So they display it in a weird, almost like a kaleidoscope. No, I don't want to say kaleidoscope, but like those.
It almost looks like
those science wheels.
Chart. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of a weird way of displaying it, but overall, pretty cool card. I don't know if I want to try to peel it off because with how old this card is, I feel like I'd probably just damage it.
Just leave it as is.
Yeah, that one will go in a sleeve.
How about 17 touchdown catches in 1995 for Carl Pickens? That's a good year.
That's fantasy wide receiver 1 type numbers right there.
He led the league that year in receiving touchdowns.
Yep. We'll go right back to baseball. Craig Lefferts here with the San Francisco Giants. Nice Fleer card there.
Kind of like a weird rotation. He's like hunched over, like mid windup almost.
Mm-hmm. NFL Pro Set card here. Jerry Holmes here pictured with the Green Bay Packers. Played for the Jets for many years.
Another classic Pro Set look there.
Yep. Nice insert card here. Think about it. Knowledge is power. Train your brain. Read. How about shout out to our guy, the legend himself, Carl Banks.
Love Carl Banks. We've talked about him on the show before. I mean, just great guy, great host, does a great job with the Giants games on Sundays. I know this past season there was a little bit of beef between Banks and the fan base a little bit, going back and forth there. But, I mean, just an all-around guy, and also has an eye for fashion with the jacket business.
I will never say a negative word about Carl Banks. The way he treated me, you, and probably a lot of people that went through those Sirius XM halls, and he's a legend in his own right. He did not have to go out of his way to make everybody feel welcome, and he certainly did. And Carl Banks is the man.
And the way he stays in shape, I bet you he could still go out there and get you some special team snaps too.
He'd probably be better than whoever is on the Giants right now. And I like the little. It's almost like a motivational message on the back of this card. Like, can you read the words on this card? If so, you should be thankful that you can. It's about like reading skills and whatnot. So I'm not going to sit here and read the entire card. You can read it as I'm holding it up here. But yeah, read. You don't be a dumb son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Can I ask you how you learn how to read?
Yeah, it was like the typical, like, in kindergarten, they give you like those small books like Max the Cat that you take home and all that. And then that's how I remember learning how to read.
I learned how to read from watching Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. They would just put the words on the screen. That's how I learned.
There's honestly a lot of people when they come to this country and they don't know English, that's the way they learn it. They find game shows like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune where you're actually having to read a lot of words and hear them. And that's how you get it.
Yeah, Pete Holohan, tight end here with the LA Rams, being tackled by somebody. Maybe that's Carl Banks. I can't really tell, but somebody on the Giants.
Doesn't look like a comfortable position either way.
No, he looks like he's
feeling
much in discomfort there.
Yeah.
Nice little insert card here of shout out to Coop. We can learn all about the 1990 New England Patriot team leaders together here.
I mean, I don't know if you want to learn about. I don't know if we want to learn about the 1990 New England Patriots. It was a bad year, I think.
Well, I can tell you that John Stevens was the leading rusher with 808 yards. Irving Fryer, their leading receiver. Let's see. Fred Marion, their leading tackler, and it has the team results all in the back there. So, yeah,
1-15 that season.
I'm sorry?
1-15 after a 5-11 season the previous year. So not good times for the Patriots.
Yeah, even the Giants beat them that year. Although the Giants did win the Super Bowl that year, so the Giants beat a lot of teams that year.
Well, I think they went 13-3 that year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so shout out to Coop there. I'm sure he could tell us more about the 1990 Patriots in the chat, as he was a young lass there. James Hasty with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Really good defensive back, former Jet as well. Played his part well.
Let's see. Flipper Anderson. Wide receiver, Los Angeles Rams.
And also, right here on this starting lineup coin that I keep here, Willie Flipper Anderson had a huge, I think he still has the playoff record for receiving yards in one game. He torched the Giants, I think, in a wild card game, like 200 yards.
Dave Magadan, first baseman with the New York Mets.
Dave Magadan. Yeah, I remember him.
I love these cards. I'm just going, from one to another. And we're just remembering some guys celebrating careers. I love stuff like that. And we got to celebrate another career here. And this is a badass card. Rod Smith here with the Denver Broncos, Hall of Famer. I think he's
another top-notch, long career wide receiver there, Rod Smith. I mean, just as reliable as they came on the outside. And just to go back to Flipper Anderson, 336 yards on 15 receptions during the 12th week of the 1989 season. So there you go.
That's very nice. Kevin Young here pictured with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Looks like he's walking back to the dugout after, I guess, hitting a ground ball or something. I don't know.
I do love the look of that scorecard. That's a cool layout.
Yeah, that's a cool layout here. I also like the look of this Topps card that I'm about to show you right here. The legend himself. Oh, wait a minute. This is weird. Oh, no, these cards are stuck together.
I was going to say the cards might be stuck.
Yeah, they're stuck together. So one of the great power hitters of the baseball era and one of the all-time good guys, Jim Thome.
Yes. Used to love using him in video games for home run derby, and he would just smash like 520-foot home runs.
Right. I was confused because there's a very similar card that was stuck to it behind it and the back of it, and that was for Frank Rodriguez and the Minnesota Twins.
Not sure if anybody would refer to him as a legend, but hey,
I'm sure his family would think of him as a legend.
He's no Jim Thome.
Unfortunately not. But I mean, most people aren't. So I'm not going to give him crap for that. We got a nice manager card here. One of the great managers of all time, Tom Kelly.
Yep. Won the World Series with the 91 Twins.
We have I guess you could call this a precursor to like the Bowman's Chrome, like college football cards. For the 1995 draft, Terrell Fletcher, running back of the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, that's what is that? Classic, the brand there in the corner. They used to make those like college or minor cards. Yeah, we opened up a pack of hockey prospect picks on the show once. That was a classic.
Yep. Just got a few left. I mean, this pack's already been everything I could have wanted out of this pack. Gene Harris here with the San Diego Padres.
A lot of Padres.
Yeah, I guess somebody who put this pack together is from Southern California, so shout out to him.
And then what do we got? One more?
We got a few more cards here. Dave Kingman. Looks like this card's a little off-center with how they cut it. Dave Kingman, first baseman with the New York Mets, but you can kind of see the
definitely off-center.
Big border there on the bottom, not so big on the top there. Let's see. Charlie Leibrandt, pitcher with the Kansas City Royals.
I think he was on the Braves, too, during their 90s heyday.
Let's see. Chris James with the Cleveland Indians.
Love that upper deck look. That 91 upper deck look. That's one of my favorite baseball. I mean, just those early 90s upper deck cards in general. Any sport look great.
I also like this one, the Pinnacle card. This is Rick Aguilera.
Hell of a closer.
And last but not least, the Yankee legend himself, although pictured here with the Cincinnati Reds, Paul O'Neill.
Traded for Roberto Kelly 1-for-1. And I remember, like, I loved Roberto Kelly as a kid. I was like, oh, no, I don't. Yeah, that trade worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, he was the number 3, number 4 hitter of all those dynastic Yankee teams. So a huge part of the reason why they won 4 World Series in the late 90s. So overall, very happy with this pack. I got to put this Carl Banks one aside. I'm actually going to take a picture of this one and send it to our buddy LaGreca and just be like, hey, you think Carl would sign this?
Sure he would.
I'm sure he would.
I send it to him in the mail. It'll be back to you within a week, and he'll probably send it like in a FedEx envelope because he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, so very pleased with this pack overall. And the Carl Banks one, a lot of these cards were kind of dinged in the corners. The Carl Banks one's in pretty good shape, probably because it was in the middle of the pack. So very pleased with that.
There you go. Yeah, love the Carl Banks. But go back to Paul O'Neill for a minute. The other thing he did, too, was give a lot of free advertisement to Gatorade in the 90s because he would go in the dugout and he would either smash it with a bat or throw it on the floor. So, shout out Gatorade. They got I hope they sent him some free samples.
Yeah, I could go for some Gatorade right now because my throat is very scratchy right now after talking for the last 10 minutes. So I'm excited to pass the baton off to you, let you talk for a bit.
Let me reach the right way and let's grab that. And we had some baseball cards in that pack. We're gonna we'll do the hockey after. We'll go all hockey after that because today's figure 5 also comes from the ice. But let's open up the West Coast Rip Cam here, and let's get this first. Let's do the Donruss pack first. All right. So first up in the pack, we've got a no-name Braulio Castillo. Sounds like he was a utility player in his day. Let's see what he's got.
Love the mustache there. Don't know much about Braulio Castillo, unfortunately.
Great name. That's a solid name right there.
Great name. Also, just generally speaking, I love Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. One of my favorite ballparks to get to, and one I would certainly, if you're within a couple hours drive of it, if you haven't been there, definitely try to check out a game there because it's just a great atmosphere for a ballpark.
Never been to a baseball game there, but I went to the Rangers Flyers Winter Classic there, and I thought it was a great stadium for that. Now we go from one Philly to another, and he's got quite the name, Jay Baller. That's a name.
That is a fantastic card. Shout out to Jay Baller. We love him.
Jay, if you want to come on the show and rip some cards with us, just reach out to RipNRiff@gmail.com. We'd love to have you on just for that picture and that name alone. Is that your real name, or did you change it when you got into the majors?
No, that's got to be his real name.
Let's see. We got let's go to multi-time All-Star, I believe, Ray Lankford there with the Cincinnati Cardinals.
Yeah, pretty good player in his day.
We have this is another good name here. It almost sounds like a nickname, Chito Martinez.
Shout out to Cheeto Martinez. Don't really know anything about him, and not a big fan of the Cheetos snacks, unfortunately.
Really? Not a fan of the Flamin' Hot Cheetos?
No. I feel like the dust gets everywhere. That's also one of those snacks that they're fine if you're eating it, but if someone else is eating it, like the smell of it, like makes you sick to your stomach.
Okay. I like Cheetos. I like, the Flamin' Hot ones are good too. There are other salty snacks I would go for first, but I certainly don't mind the Cheeto. Now we go to another card it's a different player, but it looks almost identical to that card. Is Ted Wood. But look at that is as close as you get to, right? You got those orange and black teams, the Orioles and the Giants. Look at that.
Yeah, you could tell me that was Cheeto Martinez, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. The only real difference there, aside from the logo, was the eye black
and the zoom. Other than that, it's essentially the same.
Oh, and he's choking up on the bat there.
Got to choke up on the bat. Let's see here. Got another Montreal. We got a Montreal Expo. Tim Wallach, good player in his day, third baseman.
Yeah, shout out the Expos. I hope they come back in some form. I don't know if MLB is ever going to expand back to Montreal.
I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, if you're talking about expanding all these cities, like you could do a lot of good things by going back to Montreal and make people happy. You get more Ken Hill cards if you do that.
Probably if he's still playing, which I very much doubt it.
But I mean, Ken Hill, good. Like we'll call him a 2-3 starter in his day there. Bounced around the league. We got a Dodger Jose Offerman, who was a good shortstop and infielder in his day.
Yeah, this is a solid pack here. You're getting some guys who made a couple All-Star teams out of this pack.
We'll finish strong. We'll get through a couple of the other guys first here. We got Eric Anthony pictured with the Astros, which I love that uniform with the colored stripes down the sleeve. That was always nice. And then
the only thing I like more than that uniform of the Astros is the fact that the current iteration of the Astros is like 12 and 23. God, I hope the Astros are done.
Yeah, it would be really nice for that, dynasty to be over.
Yeah. The Yankees whipped that ass again last night.
Now, he's not Colin Scooter Schmaling, but he's Scooter Tucker.
Shout out to Scooter.
Got to throw him in there. And then another Padre, Dan Walters. A Padre heavy show today. So if you're watching in San Diego, you got to be happy. And let's finish out this baseball pack strong here with a couple of definitely named players. Mike Greenwell, who's a good player for the Red Sox back in the day. I'm sure Coop has watched him if he's still watching there in the chat. Then we got Brett Saberhagen, a Royal and Met. That was a very good pitcher for his time. It looks like he's trying to. It looks like the infield fly rule might be called there.
Yeah, very, very much looking to. I don't know that I want to say he's looking to actually field his position and catch the pop-up because most pitchers just get out of the way. But he's certainly looking up at the sky, hoping somebody catches the ball.
Either he's going to catch a ball that's a split second before somebody else waves him off to be like, no, I got this. Get out of the way. And we were looking for an insert in this pack. We got the classic Donruss Diamond Kings. How about Rhino here? Ryan Sandberg.
That's very nice, and I like the style of that card. Almost looks like a sketch, almost like a watercolor painting.
Yeah. Now this one's gonna have to go in a penny sleeve. The successor to Ernie Banks is the new Mr. Cub. Ryan Sandberg has been a fixture at second base since '83 and an NL All-Star team since '84. Yeah, that's a good looking card there. That's a strong way to close the pack.
Yeah, we like that. Shout out to Ryan Sandberg.
Now we came here for hockey, and we are going to deliver the goods. I've got 4 cards per pack of this very old school Prism game worn hockey. Looking for that Patrice Bergeron rookie. Looking for a Marc-Andre Fleury rookie. Looking for any sort of game patches or anything like that. So, without further ado, so these are not going to be as easy to open. You'll notice that the less amount of cards in the pack, the harder it is to open.
No, I can't say that I have. I've noticed the older the pack, the tougher it is to open.
We go the other way. No, all right. So we got some interesting ones right off the back here. We do have a Bruin. He's not Patrice Bergeron, but he is Sergei Samsonov.
Yeah, very solid player there.
Look, I love these cards. There's a
almost like a metallic sheen to them. I like it.
Yeah, it's really they're in good shape too. This is a good shape. These packs were kept well.
Almost like the chromes before the chrome cards.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a precursor to it. Now we have Peter Sikora, who bounced around the league. I know he was a big player for the Devils one of those Stanley Cup years, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he was a big part of the A line there with Eliash and Jason Arnott on the 2000 team. He was on the 2003 Ducks team. What year is this pack from? 2004?
Yeah. So this is the year after that.
Picture there. And by the way, I love the fact, aside from the fact it's the Mighty Ducks logo, which is a criminally underrated, underused logo, I love the fact that there's like the imprint of the logo in the background of these cards. I noticed it with Samsonov, and I'm noticing it here as well.
I mean, this is when Panini or Prism, I guess you want to call it back then, was like they were starting to stretch their legs, and here they are. Now another good one that's got the Sharks logo like that imprinted in the background. Best goalie in San Jose Sharks history, Evgeny Nabokov.
Yeah, shout out to Evgeny Nabokov, and shout out to the Sharks. They won the draft lottery last night. How about that novel concept? The worst team in the league gets the #1 pick, and they could certainly use it, and they're going to get a pretty good player there in Macklin Celebrini.
I'm very excited that you're going to have a Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, 1-2 punch down the middle. You know, there's other players on this team. You know, the Sharks are not going to be in the mix this year. This is another year where it's going to be bad. But if things go right, they can bottom out and start turning the corner next year. So the rebuild's going right.
It's going right. I mean, like I said it at the time, or whenever we mentioned it a few weeks ago. I still don't like the Thomas Hertl trade. I just thought like you got to give the fans a reason to come out there now, and I don't think that contract was really hurting the Sharks from doing anything. But you know, like you said, you know, next couple of years as you turn around, as you move on from the last of the old guard there, the Vlasics and the Logan Coutures of the world, and turn the team over to the new guys. I mean, they're going to be bad for a little bit, but you know, they're starting to see a little light at the end of the tunnel. You would think.
There were a lot of fans that were like, "Oh, this is terrible." I mean, that didn't quite grasp the concept of, you know, if you're going to rebuild, you do it right. By doing it right, that means really bottoming out. I think this year, and the Sharks did that this year. I think next year you'll see a little bit more of that. It'll be more exciting to lose because I'm assuming Celebrini will probably start with the team. Who knows? But at least you'll have young, exciting players to watch next year versus this year where it's just like, all right, we have to put 20 skaters out there. So who's 20 skaters going to be?
Did Will Smith sign his ELC, or is he going back for another year?
I think he's going to stay. I mean, we'll see. I got to double check that, but I think he's going to stay. And especially if you got Celebrini coming, you know, maybe you have to start building that, you know, chemistry from the BU and BC guys. So we'll see. Paramount Prodigy, Stephen Weiss. There's the insert there. Good center in his day. Panthers card.
Good center in his day.
Let's see here. And William Eklund, too. I mean, he's looked great for the Sharks, too, on the wing. I mean, the regular guy they got in the Hertl trade, you know, there's a lot of reasons to be excited if you're a Sharks fan. Let's see here. First up, another Bruin, but not the Patrice Bergeron rookie, but a journeyman goaltender, Jeff Hackett.
Jeff couldn't hack it there. That's why they had to eventually get another goalie. Ba-doom. I'll be here all week.
A little late, but it's there. I'm getting better. We go to another goaltender, one of the best American-born goalies of all time, Ryan Miller.
Coop, break down Jeff Hackett in the chat, please, for us, if you're still watching. Shout out to Ryan Miller. We like those Buffalo jerseys as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like the blue and yellow look better, but I mean that's my part of that's my formative hockey years right there, watching that Sabres logo. We spent some time talking about San Jose Sharks legends, and not pictured as a Shark there, but Owen Nolan.
Yep.
Picture with the Leafs. And one of the best nicknames probably in hockey history, because it was right around the time of the RoboCop movies, Jovocop, Ed Jovanovski.
Wow, how about that? Ed Jovanovski, long time defenseman, pretty good player.
Well, it was a big boy in an era before big boys became more common. Like you didn't want to cross his blue line.
Yeah.
All right, two packs down, 2 to go. Okay. We start off with an Islander, Mr. Jason Blake. Good winger in his day. We have another Vancouver Canuck here. Legendary center, Henrik Sedin.
How about that? That's not a Sedin rookie, is it?
I don't think so. Let me double check. Yeah, they had already had a year in the league at that point, because the year before the lockout, I think, was their first year playing, because they both came up right away. Guy who is a hell of a player, bounced around a little bit, but was on some Stanley Cup teams, Ray Whitney. Pictured as the old Blue Jacket there.
Yeah, Ray Whitney, keep him busy in retirement as well. So shout out to him, I guess.
I know they got away from them pretty early, but I did like those Columbus Blue Jackets jerseys. It was like the busy CBJ on it. Like, yeah, like the actual Blue Jacket was better, but like those weren't bad.
No, I don't really like those jerseys. I like the current ones they have. There's not a lot of things about that Columbus franchise I like. I don't like those jerseys. I don't like the fact that the team's basically been dreadful for 25 years. I don't like the stupid cannon they have.
You don't like the cannon? I like the cannon. I mean, maybe I would feel that differently if I was sitting in the section next to it, but I like the cannon.
No, I'm not a fan of it at all. A little too much.
Now, we spoke about big boy defensemen before, and Ed Jovanovski. Here's the guy wwho really raised the bar for that. Zdeno Chara.
Yeah, it doesn't get much bigger than him.
Also, hardest shot of all time, I believe, at 108.5 miles an hour in a skills competition. I think he's got. I mean, when you hit as big as him and have a stick as long as him, I mean, yeah, that's easy to get. Not easy to get to 108. But
all right, I don't need to hear any more about Zdeno Chara's long stick. So I'll just mention, obviously, just retired a couple years ago, and still keeping busy in retirement, running the Boston Marathon and all that stuff. So, shout to him.
I think his most impressive career achievement was making Wade Redden look like a competent defenseman, and then getting Wade Redden a 6-year, $6 million deal with the Rangers. That was just atrocious. So yeah, that's Chara's biggest talent, is making his defensive partner look like he's a bona fide top defenseman.
Is that more impressive than him like hanging on at like the age of like 42 with the Washington Capitals?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was still giving you decent minutes every night, I feel like. Now, I want to see something here because I got something coming up in here. It says rookie sensations, but I don't think it is. So let's start with Mark Parrish here, another Islander. Nothing really to write about there. However, I would love to hear your thoughts on this guy, Mr. Patrick Elias. I know Ken Danico is Mr. Devil, but I would feel like Elias might be number 2 on the Mr. Devil list.
Elias, yeah, career Devil. Certainly love to arrange a trade ski for that card. But probably the greatest forward in franchise history. Would probably be in the Hall of Fame right now if he wasn't playing under Lou Lamoriello for all those years, and in an era where you sacrifice a little offense for defense, which is something that the current Devils could probably stand and learn a little bit. I think you're probably going to see Jack Hughes break all of his records in terms of points and all that. He already broke his record for most points in a season, so I would imagine he's just going to go ahead and break all those records, assuming he can stay healthy. But yeah, Elias is certainly a legend and probably should be getting more consideration for the Hall of Fame than he has at this point.
All the guy did was just go out and be a reliable player for 15 years?
Just
the same thing.
More than that. Yeah. Like he was basically good up until like 2014 when like injuries and, right at the end of his career. Like, yeah, I think his last year he missed a lot of time because of a knee injury, and he was basically cooked then. But I mean, he came up late 90s, so yeah, he's probably, probably one of the. I don't want to say that one of the best wingers in the NHL, because I feel like it's probably a little bit of a stretch, but certainly an analytical darling before analytics were a thing, and a really good two-way player in an era that didn't quite appreciate that as much as it should have.
He's what we like to call an all-situation player. Throw him out there in the power play, the penalty kill, late in games, whatever you need. Offensive zone, defensive zone draw, wherever.
Yep, 100%.
2 more cards to go in the 2004 Prism pack here. So Austin Matthews almost scored 70 this year. Fell short at a very nice number of 69. Nice. One of the last 2 guys to do it was Teemu Selanne in 1993 with the Winnipeg Jets in his rookie season. The other guy to do it in 93 was Alexander McGillney. Pictured here with the Leafs, but did it with the Sabres back then.
Yeah, another guy who should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's not like he's definitely not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he absolutely needs to be in there. McGillney was a very prolific goal scorer in those Sabres teams, and he's hung around for a long time too. So good player there. And
but he was on a bunch of teams, and he's Russian, and it's a bunch of 200 hockey men, old Canadians who are voting for this sort of thing. So he might have to wait for quite a while.
Might have to wait. Now, we close with a pretty strong insert here. It's a rookie revolution of a guy we got in the pack earlier. Love the look. It's the same pose in the previous card, but Ryan Miller.
Yeah, very nice to get a rookie card there. And Ryan Miller, long productive career, first with the Sabres, and then he was pretty good as a backup on those Ducks teams as well.
Yeah, he was kind of like Jonathan Quick before Jonathan Quick. Like, he was that top-notch American-born goaltender, and then he kind of handed the torch over to Jonathan Quick. Now, I guess you'd have to say top American goaltenders, Jake Ettinger, probably be the guy.
Probably. Swayman's not American, right? He's Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian. So let's take a look at the American goalies here. Let's see.
Thatcher Demko, I guess.
Thatcher Demko would be another one. So yeah, I mean, those are probably your top 2. So there we go. So we went through those packs. I thought they were pretty good. Now we still got a little more hockey to do here. We haven't done this in a few weeks, but I think it's time to maybe go cup chasing.
We want the cup! We want the cup! We want the cup!
That's right. We're hunting the 1990 Pro Set 1 of 5,000 Stanley Cup hologram card on Rip N Riff. Yeah, baby. Got 2 packs today. Hoping to maybe find it in this box at some point. Without further ado, let's get ripping. And let's see. Here's that 10-cent coupon card that I'll throw at you. Let's see here. We got Doug Crossman, Troy Murray. We got the Vezina Trophy, who was won by Patrick Waugh that year. Let's see here. Al Secord, Brian Hayward. This is just a terrible pack. Guyton Duchesne, Paul Cavallini. We got a former Devil here, Patrick Sundstrom, wearing the old red and green Christmas look.
That's another card I'm going to need from you. And I believe he still has a record for most points in an NHL playoff game for the Devils with 8 back in whatever year that was, 1988.
That was that first playoff year, right? The first time they made it.
When they made it the first time, yeah. And I think that's an NHL record as well. I think he's tied with Gretzky, or I forget who he's tied with, but I believe he has the record for most points in a playoff game.
So we got no cup in this pack. We got Chris Knuckles Nyland there, pictured with the Rangers, also played with the Bruins. Basil McRae from the North Stars also had a cameo in the original Mighty Ducks movie with Mike Modano. Todd Ellick, good defenseman. Brian Propp, good player. And then we got our 2 all-star inserts. We got the Dean Kennedy from the Sabres, and then our 2 all-star inserts. Phil Housley, speaking of American-born players, one of the best American-born defensemen of all time. And then second Patrick Waugh card in the pack, but this one's an all-star. Go. All-star game was in the Igloo that year. That was you ever get to go to the Igloo before it closed down? Great hockey building. Really unique. Now I'm going to
really a great name for a hockey building.
Eventually, I'll find that card on the bottom. All right, so no hologram in this pack either. But let's see. We got Glenn Healy, which I believe is misspelled. I believe Glenn is 2 N's. The Glenn Healy.
I think you're right.
Adam Creighton with the Blackhawks. Of course, love a good Whalers card. Kevin Dineen. Bob McGill from the Blackhawks. Mike Huff. All right, we got a good player here. We got Mr. Cam Neely from Ace Ventura fame.
Yes, Ace Ventura fame.
That's
and certainly a great tough guy in his day.
Not a guy I'd want to go into a corner with.
No.
We got a former Blues goalie, Vincent Riendo. We got another Devil here, a legendary hockey player, Peter Stastny.
How about them?
You want that in that trade ski package as well?
Sure. Why not? I won't turn it down.
Greg Adams, who scored the game-winning goal in Game 1 of the 1994 Stanley Cup Finals, I believe, when the Rangers and Canucks went double overtime. Dave Gagne, father of Sam Gagne. Tony Granato, speaking of American-born hockey players. We got another tough guy here, Sergio Momesso, a good, tough, gritty winger. Second pack in a row that has a Sabres card at the end. Doug Bodger, which is a fun name to say. And we got our 2 all-star cards here. We got Mike Gartner with the quintessential 1980s mustache right there. And we got Kevin Lowe, former Oilers and Rangers cup-winning defenseman, looking like maybe he could have taken 30 seconds to put a comb through his hair.
Yeah, he sort of has like the Elliot Friedman, I'm going to comb my hair with a tire iron look at his face there.
It may not even be a tire iron. It's probably just whatever object is nearby that can potentially, whatever you got. No cup today. No, womp, womp, womp. No cup today. Not happy with that. Oh, well. What are you going to do? We'll probably never get that hologram, but we're going to try occasionally.
Not with that attitude, you're not going to get it.
Look at all these wrappers I have right now. It's just like this desk is never, ever get clean. So we wrap every episode with a starting lineup figure 5. It's a guessing game. When they'll guess, Jared's got 5 questions to figure out who it is. If he gets it right, I get to unbox it. If not, it goes back in the garage in the storage bin for a future date. We're gonna do a hockey one today, and with that, may begin.
All right, is this player a Hall of Famer? A hockey Hall of Famer?
He sure is.
He sure is. All right, we'll really narrow it down there. Is this player a forward?
Yes, he is a forward.
Is this player a Stanley Cup champion?
Multi-time Stanley Cup champion.
Multi-time.
3 questions. 2 to go.
Yeah, two to go. Did this player win his Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins?
He did not.
All right, that narrows it down a little bit.
He won with 2 different teams. And I almost accidentally put it right in front of the rip cam, which you could see off screen, so I almost ruined it, but there we go.
Oh, I wasn't even looking down there. I was looking into my my beautiful eyes here.
I do get lost. Last question before you have to guess.
All right, so he won 2 Stanley Cups, but he did not win them.
Multiple, not 2, multiple.
Excuse me, multiple Stanley Cups. Did he win one of his Stanley Cups with the New Jersey Devils?
Did not win a Stanley Cup with the Devils.
Okay.
So to review, we have a Hall of Fame forward, multi-time Stanley Cup champion, did not win with the Devils or the Penguins.
Is it Joe Sakic?
It is not Joe Sakic. I am sorry. So I was in Vancouver this week, so I figured let me try and to see Pearl Jam, which was an amazing show, went tonight too. Figured let me tie in the theme of Vancouver. We got Mark Messier there, pictured as a Canuck, winning his Stanley Cups with the Oilers and the Rangers. I will say this, Glenn Sather takes a lot of crap for the teams he put together in the late 90s, as he should, but he knew Vancouver, you can have Mark Messier. You can pay that contract. He saw Messier was declining. I mean, granted, he brought him back even later in his career when he was worse. But at least he had the foresight to be like, okay, Vancouver, you pay this money. Now, they tried to go get Joe Sakic, and that didn't work, which is an excellent documentary, by the way. If you haven't watched that on ESPN, I know we talked about the abundance of sport documentaries lately on last week's show, but the one about Joe Sakic and the Air Force One being tied into it, if you can watch that on, I think it was on Amazon Prime or wherever it was, but it was very good.
Yeah, I heard it was very good. So a little disappointed myself I didn't get this one.
I almost went Pavel Bure. I was going to go Vancouver because I was just there, but and that you were on the right path. And then when you asked Penguins, I'm like, all right, he's ruling out Lemieux and Yager. Good. And then when you asked the Devils question, I'm like, he ain't going to get this one.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about multiple time Stanley Cup champions, and obviously they won in 95 and 2000. So, can't get them all.
Can't get them all. You've been overall, you're doing well this season. Messier, a 6-time Stanley Cup champion there. He will not be joining the starting lineup studio audience next week, but this week in the audience, we do have Mike Messina there, who was unboxed last week. And then I figured let's lean into the orange since Messina's got that orange jersey. So I got a Tony Stewart 2000 Winner's Circle edition there, standing on the hood of his car. We got Wayne Gretzky 2000 special edition there, hoisting the cup. And then Hardy Nickerson and those creamsicle Buccaneer jerseys we all know and love. So next week it'll be a fresh 4 in there. We won't have an unboxing, but I like the mix this week that I have in the audience.
I did not know that they made NASCAR starting lineups. So you learn something new every day.
They towards the end of their run there, they did. You can see here, this is the roof of Tony Stewart's car with the little peg that you put the foot in, and then it stays there. They didn't make a ton, but they made the drivers you would expect from back then. Dale Earnhardt Sr., Jr., Jeff Gordon, and the handful of names that were kind of big. So we'll see who's in the audience next week for the next episode of Rip N Riff. But I think we had a good birthday celebration today.
We did, but this is gonna be the time of the show where I'm gonna ask for my gift, which is to wrap this up so I can go take a nap.
Well, then let me give you that present so you can go and get your sleep so you can feel better. Now, of course, you can follow all my hockey work over at Total Hockey Now, along with Christopher Murray and Anthony Rivera. Love my line mates there. We do a great job bringing it to you. Devils are going to be hiring a coach soon. Be sure to go to allaboutthejersey.com. Jared's got stuff there. And if you like poker content with top-notch production values, go to YouTube at Jared Moore Poker, who's got videos going up all week long. For the man dealing with our common enemy, allergies, at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. Back with you next Wednesday for an all-new episode of Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook network.